But colors, duh. Okay, so for most people, this stuff right here is duh. For a lot of other people, this stuff is duh too, but I'm going to go over something because most people don't know this. But you see how this is red, green, blue, 255, 255, 255? The values are between 0 and 255, hexadecimal values, right? You can do the same thing with percentages, which you might or might not have known, 0 to 100%. What you might not know, though, is don't mix these two up. You don't do 255, 100% 255. So then we add the A, RGBA. The A stands for transparency. So here I put a 1 because the gist of this slide is all of these colors are white. So it's solid opaque white. Solid opaque white, but using percentages. Then we have something called HSL, and I'll cover HSL in a few slides, but it's, this is the value of white, and again you can add the opacity with the A in white. This is not white, color transparent. Does anyone know what color what transparent is? What color is transparent? You're kind of like, wow, that is a really dumb question. It's transparent. It is not really. It is transparent black. So it's not a transparent white, it's not a transparent red, it's not transparent green, it's transparent black. So if you are doing a transition from transparent to a color, and you use the key term transparent instead of an RGBA or an HSLA color, it will go through grays. It will be ugly. And that's why it's really important to know that transparent is actually transparent black. And then there's a key term called current color. And current color is the current color of the text. So by default, border shadow, rather border color. You know how like when you define a border, the only thing that is required is the border style. You don't have to tell it the width, and you don't have to tell it the color. But border style is required. By default, the border color is current color. So that, we're already using current color without knowing it. But one of the times to use current color is for text, when your text is too thin. And this might never happen to you. This is one of those things, who cares? But I've been required to use a font. Helvetica Neue Light was actually the font. And on the iPhone 4, it's a very, very thin font. It's illegible. It is too thin. So what I did is I put a 1 pixel text shadow on it, completely behind it, not off to the side, not offset. But I don't know what color my text is, because my text color might change. So I just put text shadow 0, 0, 1 pixel current color, and it just made the text a little bit thicker. So current color can be useful. I really feel like I have a tail. It can be useful for that kind of stuff. So name colors. These are your name colors. In CSS3, it was increased to include all the SVG colors. The only thing to note that is even vaguely interesting about all of this is and it's interesting to me because I'm a geek and still haven't figured out how to write the word gray in the United States. Is it AY? Is it EY? I don't know. I don't want to fight about it. Well, it's no longer a fight. They actually accept both colors. So it's light gray with either an E or an A. And your browser will be happy.
Is it particularly one way in other countries?
I thought it was A in the US and E in UK, but I don't know. Like I know that I've had spell checkers tell me I'm wrong, and I'm like, I am not wrong. And you can't fight with a spell checker because it doesn't have a personality. Okay. RGBA. These are same way of declaring the exact same 3 colors. I declare it with RGB 40 BFAC, which is the same as 64, 191, 172. And if you take 64 into 256, that's 25%. If you take 191 into 256, that's 75%. If you take 172 into 255, rather, it's 67%. So these 3 are all the same values. I add a little opacity to it, and it's just the background coming through. It's not fully opaque anymore. Whoop-de-doo. Let's get to HSL because this is new and confusing. The other stuff you probably knew, right? The other stuff was known to everyone except for the current color and the transparent? Okay. So HSL, if you do Photoshop, which I do not do Photoshop, you have HSB for hue, saturation, and brightness. So your designers are coming up with colors based on hue, which is like the color circle from 0 to 360, which goes from red to red. And here it is laid out for you. And the way I actually laid this out is this is 360 1-pixel wide divs, and each one of these hues is 1 pixel different. So that's actually 360 divs, so that's the actual values in the right order. Goes to red, orange, yellow, green, blue, dark blue, purple, pink, back to red. That's hue. Let's move it up and down. You see we go from red to orange to yellow to green to blue, and we're all happy and good. So let's just stick on, I like purple. Your Lego store at the Mall of America does not sell purple Legos separately. Isn't that
Well, it's interesting, but sure, I don't think I've ever seen a purple Lego.
There are purple Legos because now that they sell girl Legos, they're purple boxes. But yeah, they don't sell them separately. But those little people that you can make little people 3 for $9.99. I made a woman in a bikini with a beard. I mean, the stuff that they have is really random. And with what's it called when you're arrested?
Handcuffs?
Handcuffs, yes. It's like an S&M little guy, you know, whatever. Okay. That's yeah, because Microsoft. So saturation is how much color. So by default, if you want to be really bright, it's 100%. And then if it's 0, there's a complete lack of color. So here we are mostly saturated at 96%. And then lightness is how much white or lack of light. Light or lack of light. Photoshop will use brightness as the same word. It's the exact same thing. So when you go very bright, it becomes white. And when you go no light, it becomes black. And then you have everything in between. The main value you probably want is 50%. And then you have alpha transparency, which just makes it transparent. And the reason it's gray is because I text shadow on it. So just note that when you have text and you make the color transparent, the text is still there. It's just transparent, so you still see the text shadow. And that will come into play when we talk about opacity versus transparency. Okay, so what's the point of all this? It's just a different way. Like for me, I am so used to this, I find this really easy. However, I need to use this a lot more nowadays because I do a lot of alpha transparency, so I have to convert. It might be easier for me in the long run to get used to that, so I can come up with my own colors without having to do math. Because that's actually really intuitive. It's just not intuitive for me yet because I haven't really used it. So just realize there's another option out there. And so when we change the hue, right, when a value is 0, it just doesn't show up. So that's probably, I need to redo the math on that, on the bottom one. But this is a little converter. This is the GitHub repo for that converter. So if you actually want to link to it directly, you can. And this is, I guess, on my blog. Yeah, I wrote a blog post about this color picker for some reason. Who knows why? So Git repo, you can fork it, and you can actually correct my JavaScript and do a pull request. Thank you for anyone who wants to do that for me. Thank you. So this is a little converter, and it's kind of nice. Notice that when I do alpha transparency, the hexadecimal value goes away, right? Because these values do not support alpha transparency. In IE, in sometimes, I think it's the last 2 digits that can be alpha transparent, like when you're using filters, but don't use filters. So they want to add that colors could be 8 variables long, and the last 2 digits being alpha transparent. Not sure if they're doing that or not. I don't think that made it. Definitely didn't make it into CSS3 colors, but who knows about CSS4.